Hi, this is Vanessa Love, and this is my channel about the mental health field and related topics. So there was let me get the information for you. There was a post the other day that said, how were you taught what was discussed about someone having a client who needed to talk about their sexual history, their sexual past, their sex, their sex life. And I can tell you absolutely nothing. Zero. Zip zilch, nothing, no way, no how, nothing, 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 nothing. I think maybe once in adolescent psychology they said don't ask about a sex life in front of the patient's parents because you're not going to get an answer, an honest answer. So that's the extent, the one sentence, that's the extent of it. Anything that I have learned either because my friends have been very sex positive. Some of them have worked for Planned Parenthood and do regular old information like how to stop teen dating violence. Also, very weird that I had a full-on an internship at AIDS Project New Haven, and my school did nothing to educate us about anything that any of our clients would have been going through, especially a couple of people had done the internship there. A couple of people had done the internship there. And there was nothing about sex. No discussion. I think at that time they were kind of like, nah, that's sex therapy. But sex therapy at that time was having a lot of problems because there were these things called surrogates. Surrogates were these people who you would be like, okay, so how do you approach a woman? How do you approach men? How do you engage? And at that time people were like, that's just straight up prostitution, which I'm like, yes and no. It's no. It's a therapeutic tool. I shouldn't have to explain that to you. If you think that it's sex work, then you think it's sex work. I'm not going to try and convince you out of that. So, I also have friends in polyamorous relationships, and one of their partners wrote a book. So I read the book. And there's a whole bunch of other things, and the sex therapy book that I read that was from my supervisor in the first group practice, that was really, really, really only solely about sexual dysfunction, just the mechanisms of that, not necessarily the emotional turmoil that someone would have if their parts didn't work. Luckily, in undergrad, I had a human sexuality class, and the person who, I'm not entirely wonderful with her, and she was also my adolescent psychology professor who basically said I didn't do a paper right, even though I quoted her directly. She was like, I never said this, which is very weird. You think I just made up a quote from you? Really? That's okay. Got an F on that paper. That's fun. Especially when you're 20, 21 and have no idea how to deal with that. Especially if you are not going to possibly pass that class. I did pass the class. Passed it just fine. I think I got a B+ or something. Even though I got an F on, I think, one or both of the final papers. I don't know how all of that worked. I don't really care. It was a long time ago. But, her and I are not... She's not my favorite teacher, okay? But what she did do right... Which, I mean, debatable. What she did do right is that she would have guest speakers come in and they would talk about different aspects of sexuality, spirituality, people who are disabled, people who are trans, and this is many years ago where that was not very typical or like possible to always get people who wanted to talk about that. People who were bisexual, people who had, I think this is still the word, who had been pimps. If that's like not the word, just let me know, because I'm like, fuck, I don't know. And like a whole bunch of other stuff that like that was wonderful. However, because most of the class was revolved around having guest speakers, I don't know if you can say that she was actually a professor. She was more of a person who could connect the students to things before podcasts became popular. Fun. Anyway, so yes. Uh, so yes, I was very fortunate for that, and then I was fortunate to be in very sex positive like places, so there was always something that was like educational and moving forward. However, there were many years where sometimes like sexual dysfunctions or sexual issues just did not come up, and that's very difficult, or they were just not discussed in general. There are other like there's plenty of incidences that I can tell you about where I'm like, oh yeah, no, I know like about things therapeutically. Let me clarify that therapeutically about my clients. I want to clarify that because like there is a way to be absolutely creepy and disgusting about sex when you have a therapist, especially a female therapist, because some men unfortunately like to come in and be like, my dick is so big, blah 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 blah, and like the lady that I had sex with yesterday was screaming my name to the top of her lungs, blah blah blah, but like nothing that's like therapeutic about that. But like if he wanted to talk about like the challenges of having several partners who may have been harmed because of his girth or whatever, that's something that we can definitely have a talk about. But like, yes, I actually at some points did say that I treated sex addiction because that is what that is something that I had like studied on my own. However, it became so disgusting that like I stopped advertising that I treated that because it just wasn't comfortable for me anymore, and it wasn't productive for some of the sessions that I had because people are very odd about how they want to go about talking about it without like giving an idea of how to have like a productive therapeutic conversation about it. That's very difficult. I know that there was a colleague who I had, I'm just gonna kind of make a side note that she is a shit show, but like she did go to like, I don't know, some kink festival or something, and she like learned a lot about the different things, which I was like, you had to go to a whole festival for that? That seems, I don't know. Like, I think there were some other things going on there. Anyway, the other thing that I do want to say about this is that there was an Instagram post that was like, someone was saying that like their therapist seemed very, very, very like pushy about like sexual topics with them, and like to the point where it seemed like they were trying. It was a male therapist trying to like get salacious details, which also didn't seem very therapeutic. And the person was trying to, I think they said that they were asexual, and so like they didn't they didn't have anything. There was nothing going on, which is like completely fine. That should be completely fine. But to have someone who like, if they had the same education that I had no education about this, and is trying to like pull out like sexual details, is like disgusting, and like so like it makes my skin crawl and it makes me want to shriek. Like it is so just gross, you know? And like again, I think that there really It cannot just be sex therapists who are educated about sex therapy, because like that is obviously not okay for this field. Like it really, really, really is not okay. And I hope that like as we progress and as we like make sure that people have better understandings of private practice, of trans and LGBTQ community issues, and immigrant issues and sex issues, that like we will have a better foundation for like the next set of therapists. But it's also just remember that those people who have been practicing for many years may choose to not have CEUs that are related to this. So it is very possible that there are people out there who have had their license for like 20, 30 years, 40 if they're lucky, and like have no idea how to go forward. Just letting you know. And if like anyone ever gives you a creepy vibe, it's completely and ethically okay to block them. Like if there's some therapist giving you the creepy vibes, if there's some client giving you the creepy vibes, you do not have to continue with that, with either side of that. Like, because that is not safe. No matter what. Bottom line. And like we as people need to feel that safety, especially in a therapeutic office. I hope that was helpful for you. I have a client to get to. All right, talk to you later.